we have one more step to consider in setting up our Redux application. We need to think about initializing the actual store. Right now, although we have an action creator for adding reminders, we still have no idea what the state is for our global application. What we need to do is set up a provider component from React Redux that will pass down its store to our entire application. Navigate to index.js and we'll import provider from React Redux. Now, adding a provider is simple. Just wrap the app tag within a provider tag. Here we go. And as we save, it might seem like we already have store for us. But as you can see, we get an error here. It says that the prop store is marked as required in provider, but its value is undefined. So let's create a store. We'll import create store from Redux now. Let's declare a constant of store as create store, which is a function. And then we'll pass a store key to provider as store. Let's reload. And now it says expected the reducer to be a function. So let's think about what a reducer actually means in terms of Redux so that we can pass one to the store. If in Redux, all the application state exists as a store or single object, what reducers do is simply take the state in an action and return new state. So reducers, based off of an action, will modify the state in a pure way. There's a huge rule to note with reducers. You must never mutate the state directly. This will cause huge performance errors. So what we do is take the state and return entirely new instances of it rather than simply modifying it. With that being said, let's create a reducers folder within our source. And then declare an index.js file. First off, let's import the add reminder constant from our constants folder. And to begin, we'll have one reducer as a constant by the name of reminders. It will be another anonymous arrow function, and it will have two parameters. A state parameter pre-initialized to an empty array, as well as an action parameter as the second argument. Now let's initialize a variable within our reminders reducer called reminders, and it'll simply be null. Later on, we'll change this reminders variable to become a return state. So remember that our action returns a type. We can use that type to understand exactly how we want to modify our reminders or state. So we'll use a switch statement on the action type because we can expect more than one type of action in the future besides add reminder. But let's consider our first case, which is add reminder. In this case, we'll change reminders. We'll set reminders again to an array now. And then we're going to use a neat ES6 trick called the spread operator. We'll spread on state. And what the spread operator allows us to do is copy the contents of one array or object into another array or object. It's very convenient. So the first element in a reminders array will be this current spread state. And the next one will be a new reminder with our action. Now we need to define this reminder function. So above, let's define a helper reminder function, which takes one argument, our action, as its parameter. We'll simply return an object as a reminder with a text of action.text and then an ID of a random variable. Awesome, we're very close. Now we need to keep setting up this reminders reducer. And let's console.log our reminders as state, so that way we can debug in the future. We'll return reminders, of course. And don't forget, in a switch statement, we always want a default, and by default, we'll return the state from above. And we're very close. We just need to export our reducer, so that way other modules can recognize it. And now, we can head back to index.js to finally fix this error. Now, before we move on, some of you might have to reload your development server by hitting Control-C and doing npm start over again because we just added a new module. Just as it reloads, go ahead and wait. And finally, we can import reducer from our reducers. And then we'll simply argue the reducer within our store. Great. Looks like our reducer is working now. And we just spent a lot of time thinking about reducers, stores, and providers, some really fundamental Redux concepts, and we've actually moved one step closer to actually changing our application state with Redux. Awesome job.